Good evening. I called together a call to order this work session, joint work session of the Gladstone City Council and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. It's 5:31 p.m. And I will go around and you can state your name and will let us know whether you're city councilor or parks board. I'm Michael Milch, mayor.
Nancy Turner, Parks Board.
Lee Farley, Council.
Bruce Hildreth, Parks.
Maria Mitchell, Council.
Mindy Garlington, Council.
Kim Agramson, Parks.
Vanessa Huckabee, City Council.
Andrew Labonte, City Council.
Malachi Malone, Parks Board.
Gabrielle Blaug, Council.
Ian Moore, Parks Board.
And we have some staff in the back, and let's introduce them too, so we know who's here.
Eric McNabb, Lieutenant Gladstone PD.
John LaGarza, Healthy Sustainable Communities Economic Development Consultant.
Yvonne McNeil, Community Services Officer.
John Schmerber, Chief of Police.
Jackie Betts, City Administrator.
And Tammy Bannock, as always, in the background, but an essential force to getting the work done tonight. And I see Eric Butler from the Parks Board just came in too. Eric, welcome. So we are on Zoom, but it's a work session. The public is welcome to attend, but we usually don't take public comment. But we will have a lot of comment from the two committees and the staff here today. Let's stand for the flag salute, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight our agenda mainly has to do with Meldrum Bar Park, with the parking situation there, consideration perhaps of using a parking fee app, and then we'll talk a little bit about economic development endeavors at the park as well. And we'll share a little history, I think, for some of you who haven't been around for very long in Gladstone. There was a time when parking was free at Meldrum Bar. There was a concern about enough revenue for the city to maintain our parks. And about 6 years or so, about 6 years ago, the Parks Board recommended, after some research, that we look into establishing some parking fees. There was a little bit of debate over whether that should just be for people with boat trailers, whether it should be for everyone, whether it should include residents, whether it should only apply to non-residents. And we got into COVID season a little bit. Finally, the council made a decision. In June of 2021 was when we first had the kiosks to begin to collect the fees. And it was for parking at the entire park, not just the boat area. And it applied to anyone who came, but there was a free parking permit available for residents of the city to keep the fees mostly coming from non-residents, which we realized was a big percentage of the park users. So we've had 5 years or so of use of that, and now it's time to take a look at it and see where we are. So our administrator, Jackie Betts, will share some more.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, Mayor. Because I kind of wanted to set the stage. We're going to have a presentation in just a moment. But what I wanted to share is that the things that we're talking about today is we absolutely are not talking about changing anything for the residents. They get 2 free parking passes. It works well. We've got it a flow going administratively. So anything we talk about tonight is not for our residents. And primarily the reason why we collect revenue, it's an 83-acre park. We have a lot of visitors. Residents already pay a portion of property taxes towards parks. So we didn't want them to also have to buy a parking pass. We agree with that. what we want to talk about today is, it was in 2021. I want to give you a brief overview of how much money we've collected and where the expenditures have been. And then our community services officer is going to give you a presentation on some of the internal work that we've been doing to try to make it more efficient and streamlined, because as you all know, that we've had bottlenecks, big events, cars are backed up to Riverview Drive. And that's why we have our police chief, our lieutenant, and our community services officer to talk about some things that we've been researching. You guys may decide, let's do nothing and leave it as is. Yes, let's make some technology enhancements. You may decide, let's get rid of the parking fee. I don't know. You guys can have that discussion, give us guidance, so we know whether or not we stay status quo or if we need to make some improvements on this. So I have a copy of this for everybody that I will pass out. I'm going to give you just high level. Since we started collecting in 2021, we have collected $517,864, and we have spent $344,215. Again, I'm going to give you this piece of paper. It's going to show you the expenses. As you recall, when we did the installation, there was a lot of work that went in to the licensing, the software, the kiosks, the engineering. So it really took until about 2022, 2023 before we started to see revenue coming in outside of the expenses. What's not included in here is how much staff time is taken, whether the paper's gone out or we've had a glitch. We're not able to really track that time, but it does show you in here what the annual licensing costs, the credit card merchant fees. There is a line item in here. The first year we had quite a bit of vandalism, so it shows you what we spent on that. We've also spent some of the money on picnic tables and trash cans that the Parks Board approved in 2023, 2024. We've also used a big chunk of that this year for the Nature Park paved loop trail as part of our match requirement. And the other thing that we did in the last budget cycle was we allocated 50% of a parks maintenance salary from revenue. That allowed us to get 3 people in our parks. So I'm going to hand this out so you have it. It's really not the focus, but I've been asked how much have we collected and where is that money going? And what I wanted to give to you in transparency is that it has all gone towards parks, maintenance, and operations. None of it just goes to other departments. So I will let you, Ian, pass them that way. And I think with that, what we're going to do is have Yvonne talk a little bit about the internal work that we've been researching. We were able to finally do a little bypass lane where the pay machine currently is, but that wasn't even easy because we started looking into it and the property wasn't zoned correctly. So we had to go through that whole process of rezoning the property so that we could do the bypass lane. That just finished about a month ago. Not sure we've seen any difference in the impacts there. I can also tell you that some of the things that we've been working on with the large groups that have softball, baseball, or soccer tournaments is we've been giving them like 150 parking passes ahead of time. They pay for them so that they can distribute them to other people. We also have a free overflow parking spot down there, and that will stay the same. So with that, I want to hand this over to our community services officer. And I'd also like to say that Yvonne is working on her advanced certificate. And one of the requirements is that she does a presentation in front of a group. So please be kind and patient. And I'll hand it over to Yvonne. Thank you, Jackie.
So as she said, I'm Yvonne McNeil. I'm the Community Services Officer with the City of Gladstone, the Police Department. And today I just wanted to talk about the Pay to Park program, give you guys some information on it so that you have knowledge. See if this will work. So the city's providing an alternative online pay. And as Jackie said, this is not going to increase anything to our residents. It's not going to increase anything also to the people that are using our parks at this point. The intent of the program is to give users an additional tool when paying to park. The online phone app will improve parking availability, support long-term park operations, provide consistent and fair parking system as illustrated metro-wide, reducing vehicle congestion. It improves emergency access to the park too, so that emergency vehicles can get in because they're not backed up at the kiosk. The goal is to reduce the congestion during high speed or high use timings, soccer games, baseball games, high use at the boat ramp, whatever it might be. It'll also improve convenience to visitors by adding the app base and the online payment system. If this goes into effect, it would allow you to drive into the park, let your kids run out to their soccer coach, you might say, and sit there and pay to park. You can do it before you leave the house. You can do it on the phone. You can do it on the computer. It supports long-term parking operations and maintenance through the parking revenue and ensures fair and consistent parking requirements. The location would be Meldrum Bar Park. The hours are 365 days a week. By municipal code, it's 1 hour before sunset or sunrise and 1 hour after sunset. So nothing there's changing. We are kind of talking a little bit about recommending a fee increase. Currently, this will not affect residents whatsoever. Non-residents currently pay $3 per day or $40 per year for an annual pass. We're recommending $5 per day and $50 annual pass, strictly non-residents, not our current residents. It adjusts better fee structure with all the other states, all the other parks statewide. Currently, state parks range from $10 to $12 a day. We're currently at $3. We're looking for $5 or at $5. County parks are from $7 to $10 per day. And then city, as in Portland City or Oregon City, all the others, there are hourly fees, but the daily rates are $10. The cost for implementing this new system is 35 cents per citation, per certificate, per receipt to get into the park. And that's the credit card fee. $9,000 implementation cost, $5,000 for signs. Those are one-time costs. $2,100 annual subscription, that would be a yearly subscription fee. And then $2,000 to move the existing station and convert it to solar. And that would be the kiosk. The access will be the same. There'll still be the kiosk if that's what somebody wants to use, or they'll have the new online pay to park program. It will allow visitors to pay quickly without waiting in line. They also don't have to go back up from Doll Beach. They decide they want to drive through. They don't have to pay to park, but now they've decided to stay for a couple hours and go down to the beach. They actually currently have to drive all the way back to the kiosk. Here, they'd just be able to use their pay app. This should improve compliance and reduce congestion during peak park use. As we said it before, it's not affecting our residents whatsoever. There are some exemptions in the park, disabled passes, veterans passes, and there's an Oregon State Special Access Pass. None of those will change. They'll still be in effect. Parking compliance is managed through the city enforcement operations in coordination with the police department and the community services officer. We believe that there's probably going to need to be a 30-day education period. Currently, the citation amount will also go unchanged. If you get a citation for parking at the park without a pass, it's a $90 citation, but if you play within the first 14 days, it's dropped to $25. Those will remain unchanged also. If you guys decide that this is something you want to go with, we've been working with Ventec with our current citation writing system, and the kiosks are currently through there. And it'll just be continued. The system will be continued the same as it is today with citations and education and so on. Some outreach channels, we'll have to update the signage at the beginning of the parks, at the kiosk. The app is using a QR code, so those will be throughout the park. The website will need to be updated. We'll update our pay to park FAQs. We'll do some social media announcements, newsletter announcements, This really is just an additional way for people to park and make it simpler for everyone. And the congestion is a big issue when we get into the bigger events. So there are 4 phases if you decide to go through with this. First, we need to confirm all the rates, policies, get the vendor set up, begin the public education, update the signs, and get the application or the pay app information out for everybody. And then the last step would be to go live. If there's any questions at all, I'm always available to help. I'm more about education than I'm about giving citations. So if somebody's got questions, I'm willing to help out, that kind of thing. One of the things about this program is that I'm a community member here. I live here in town. And if my brother-in-law and my grandmother are going to go to the park, I can actually go into the app and pay for them before they get there. It's all done by license plates. So the license plate is what pays for the car for the day. And so that's going to make it a lot easier with the soccer games, baseball games, that kind of thing. Or if I'm going to go have a family picnic down there. I see families all the time that come down 3 or 4 or 5 cars. So, any questions? And I appreciate everybody's time. I really do. I saw that first.
Okay. Hi, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. You did
Nervous.
very well. I know
Thank
you
you.
did
I
good.
appreciate it.
It's hard to get up in front of an audience. So in the back of my mind, I keep hearing Parking Kitty.
It's similar to Parking Kitty. It's
Okay.
just another name. Parking Kitty is Portland's name for
Right,
their
right.
parking system. It's going to be very similar.
I don't use it. I call my wife after I've parked and she
And she
does-
takes care of it for
Yeah,
you.
it's perfect.
Totally understand. I've been
Okay.
married 41 years, so totally understand.
And is Ventec, that's the original company we started with?
Correct. And it's also the one that we use to write citations throughout the city for parking.
We did explore other companies as well, but it made sense because we already invested in the infrastructure with FinTech. And the other, piece of that too is Ventec would create an app specifically for Gladstone. We don't know what that would cost or what that would look like, but that's what one of the implementation costs is to do that. And I also think that if you decide you want to go this way, we do need to do a fee increase because the current rate wouldn't support what we're trying to do. So keep that in the back of your mind. And I also would like to have John Lagarza talk a little bit about the economic development projects we're working on, because that is going to also increase the amount of traffic that we're coming down there. And I want that to be part of your thought process before you come to a decision. Yes.
Sure.
On the cars that you said were exempt, the very last one, it was an Oregon.
Oregon State Parks Pass. It's for disability people, and they get a pass every year, and we allow them to use that.
The
because it's
special access passes?
It's a
Okay.
disability pass through the
Okay.
Oregon State Parks.
Okay.
And just to be clear, we have a current $3 fee if paid at the kiosk. Would the $5 fee be only for those who go online, or would the kiosk fee also have to increase to $5 for this
Right.
program?
I believe they both across the
Yes.
board.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Thanks for that clarification.
Oh, sorry. You had the second question.
It said online or phone app. Is it possible to have the payment system be strictly online without downloading an app?
Yes, that's why I said
Okay,
online.
okay.
So on your computer at home, you can go to the website and go in and pay for it
Could you do
and
it
come out.
by phone just through the website?
By telephone? No.
No, like by your mobile phone, just using
With
it.
an app. You'd have to have an app.
If I can just circle back to the, so, and that was an interesting question about would the rate, go up for just the kiosk? I'm curious as to why it would necessarily.
I think because of the reasons that we showed for all the implementation costs up there, and having a tiered system isn't a unified approach to parking down there. And quite honestly, our previous finance manager had said that we probably should have been at $5 2 years ago. And so that's still just to cover these costs, but a tier program typically doesn't work in the same location.
Do you know what Clackamas Park on the other side of the river?
They
The
do not have
Oregon
a paid
City.
fee.
What?
They do not pay over at
Okay.
Clackamas Park.
Could I chime in on the fee structure? Because you
Sure.
touched on it a little bit. This is Bruce Hillworth. I just did a quick look, and the limited service parks in Clackamas County, they all pay $5 a day. Okay, so they're there. That includes Wagon Wheel, Madrone Wall, Feldheimer, Barlow Wayside, Wilhoit Springs. Now, if you go to any of the metro or state parks, like Blue Lake, it's $5 a car. Oxbow's $5 a car. $10 at MacGyver. I think we've been behind the curve on what it really costs, to be able to access. So I am not opposed to raising it at all.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Did I hear you say that the kiosk would move?
Correct. They were talking about moving the kiosk.
It could move or it could stay. That's something that we can talk about. If we moved it, we would move it down
Into the park?
into the park. There might be some floodplain issues that our engineer would say, you got to be careful of that 100-year flood. And we would say, we're ready to take that chance, right? That would be if we moved it, it would cost $2,000. And then John would talk a little bit about his research into converting it to solar, because there's also an option to have a couple other kiosks down in areas where we're trying to create some venues. But you guys could tell us, let's leave the kiosk where it's at right now first, too.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I think you may have answered my question, but when somebody goes and they pay the like the day fee online, now you mentioned that like when enforcement comes down and wants to make sure people are paying, they just have to run the enforcement just runs the license plate to see if they've already paid online.
Correct. I have an online system and I just put in their license plate state and it tells me if they've paid or not for the day. And it currently does that already. Nobody's paid. You had a question?
We're all in trouble.
Yeah, sorry. If we move the kiosk, how would that relieve some of that congestion on busy days? Is that why we're?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that would be the intent of moving it, but I'll let John LaGarza talk more about that.
No, absolutely. We reached out to Ventec, and Ventec actually, they're out of Seattle, a great firm, and it would help alleviate the congestion coming in there. And then we could adapt the current subscription ticket to solar, so we can move it down in there and then just put up the signage from that standpoint there. So absolutely would help that alleviation there.
I have one question.
Okay.
If
Go ahead.
I was the softball mom and I got up in the morning and I knew that my child was going to be down there with aunts and uncles and grandparents, does the app and or the online website allow me to pay for multiple cars so
Absolutely.
that my family's just in the door in the morning?
You can do it for your whole soccer team.
Okay, so that would alleviate you having to give out passes.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
I've-
Maria.
I have a question. Going back to Mr. Moore's question, paying on your phone, you could still go to the website on your phone and pay, not
Yes,
downloading
correct.
the app. Okay.
Or you can go up to the kiosk and still pay.
Okay.
I was down there this weekend, Father's Day weekend, and wonderful turnout. And I saw a really good presence of park rangers and law enforcement throughout the Meldrum Bar. If this does not get raised, would that have a negative impact on you guys being able to participate and continue to have that good presence?
No, we're still going to continue our presence. Our strategies and philosophies won't change.
Now, if with the online system, will a person be able to, or a family be able to purchase an annual pass on that as well?
Yes, you can purchase an annual pass. The passes starting July 1st, next week after, are going to be January through December. So it doesn't matter when you purchase it. it goes until December of the following year. If I purchase an annual pass, currently I can get a card, swipe it every time I come in, or I can trade that card for a pass that I put on my dash. That card can go from place to place. So they're going to allow you one time a day to change your license plate
Okay.
in the app.
Now, is the fee gonna go up for the annual pass or stay the same?
The fee went from $40 to $50 was the recommendation.
Okay.
Does it go down if they sign up halfway through the year, or is it just the flat?
I'm not the one that makes the determination if it's going to be prorated.
Yeah, if we're moving forward in that, we would do proration on that, and we'd have to come back to you with a timeline for implementation, because if council did have to raise the fee, it would have to be done through a resolution, master fee schedule, and we would like to do that by the end of this year. So we're not forecasting, if you move forward, to do anything this summer.
And if I may, when this initially went through, I was fortunate to be on the park committee and kind of saw this whole program get queued up. I was definitely a voice against a fee, and I was certainly a strong voice for the lowest fee, especially as the COVID was hitting at that time. Outdoor things were so important. It felt strange to charge people for that. Generally, I'm very much in the mindset of not raising fees kind of across the board. So I'm not sure how I'll feel about it necessarily. I know it's just a minor thing. It's just $5. I think those little bites help. But I see the upside of it, and where it makes it easier and it helps the law enforcement and everything like that. But I certainly wouldn't want to see it go higher than 3 and definitely not higher than 5. And that, I guess that's my little pitch there.
Can I chime in too? This is Bruce. Andrew, I was on that same board with you at the time when we implemented this. The charge was for the park board to come up with a way to have revenue that would sustain maintenance in the park. And this is what we did, because it costs money to run a park, period. The cost of that has gone up. So look around, you know it. It's gone up everywhere for anything. But so chiming in on that. But John, we were talking about moving the existing station. So I'm assuming that's a new station, and it's going to be solar if you move it. Will it also accept like, Zelle, Apple Pay? What are some of the other ones I wrote down? Oh, Venmo. I don't do any of them.
Currently, when I talk to Ventec, it would be the existing station. So we would just relocate the existing station and add the solar onto the station there. So there, actually talked to the original installer that came down here about, I think it was 6-7 years ago to install it out there. But yes, they would move the existing station. And we talked about putting some bolts on place, to be able to remove it if there should be a floodplain that should happen to that point there too. So
that's what I was wondering. Put it on hydraulic, lift it up.
Yep, lift it up.
No, thank you.
John, do you know with the new stations that you were looking at with the solar, that were the smaller ones, if those would be able to use various payment methods?
I don't. One of the things talking to, and we can reach back out to Ventec, one of the challenges is, you talked about, Bruce, you brought up Parking Kitty, and then people start putting in QR codes. And in some of these parking areas in bigger metropolitan areas, they've had, people that kind of scam the people that coming into the park. So from that standpoint, we could reach out and see if they will take, in the future Zelle, but they're very secure. Ventec's one of the most reputable operators on the West Coast, and they've been, some of these places like, Parking Kitty and the other one where they've had the QR code or the Zelle, there's been scammers that have happened from that standpoint there too.
So I'm not in favor of any prorated amounts on a season pass, given that sometimes a season pass is only the fishing season and only the softball season or the sports season. Well, if that's your season, that's your season. That's my 2 cents on that. But to explain to me so if a person buys a pass and their truck license plate, so as long as their truck is connected to their boat trailer, then, okay, but boat trailers would have a separate license plate. No. How does that work? But if somebody dumped off their boat and then went to the back and unhooked the two pieces together, is there a way to make sure that they're not getting tickets because of a shortage of parking or something, that they ended up having to take their truck apart from their boat?
I'm in the park daily and I've
Okay.
never seen somebody drop a trailer except for one that was abandoned.
Good to know. Thank you for sharing.
Yvonne?
Yes.
So if, does a resident then get the placard like we have now, or do we still have to enter in our our?
Nothing will change for the residents whatsoever. You'll still get your 2 placards and you can put them in any vehicle you have.
Okay, but then we don't have to put them into the system.
No.
Okay, so as an enforcement person, then you're still having to, like when you come up to a car that doesn't have their license plate in your system, then you have to get out and trot around to see if it's.
So I normally walk through the park. The first thing I do is look at the dash because right now, most people, well, everybody that's paid has something on their dash. So it's either a disability pass or a residence pass, or they've purchased the citation or the ticket to put on their dash. Then I look at the plate because sometimes it's a veteran's plate or disabled plate. And then if I do write the citation, that's when I currently put in the license plate. So I will do that same step. I'll see if they're a resident. I'll see if they paid at the kiosk, see if they're a disability, veteran, and then I'll go ahead and put it in to see if they paid.
Thank you.
No worries.
Just because I'm dense, just want to be clear that you go to the website, you print out a thing to put on your dash?
Nope, nothing will be printed. You'll go in, you'll put in your name, you'll put in your credit card number, the date that you're going to be there. And if we have a soccer tournament, you could put in 3 dates. So you can pay for 3 days if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll put in your license plate number, you'll hit enter, and it'll say you're registered.
Okay. And you have that all on your
And
end.
my app looks like this.
Okay. Okay.
And I will just put in the license plate and it'll tell me if you've paid or not.
In general, would it be easier to do this on a laptop than a phone?
I think it's user preference.
Mm-hmm.
I think the younger generation is going to do the phone, and I think my generation, older generation, is probably going to use a laptop.
Right. And you mentioned the free overflow parking. I just need a little clarification on that.
So currently during athletic events, we allow the overflow athletic parking, which is also the overflow boats, truck trailer parking. If they park in there, we don't charge them and we don't cite them if they don't pay.
Gotcha.
That makes it so that families don't have that detriment of the $3 to $5.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But they do have to walk a little bit further to their sports field. That's the payoff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Exercise.
And if somebody's just coming in to drop off a kid, they don't have to pay to park. They just drop their child off and go on. And a lot of people will drop their things and then go over the free parking.
So the process that you do is really pretty cool. The kiosk won't give little tickets out anymore to put on the dash.
It will if you purchase through the kiosk.
Right there at the kiosk. Got it. I was there on, what was it, June? I wrote it down. Doesn't matter. It's a couple of Saturdays ago. You were there. In fact, you were checking. I made a comment to you. I don't think you knew who I was.
Well, I'm nice to everybody, so I'm not worried.
No, you were too. I started counting cars, and I would say there was well over 200 cars in the park that day. 160 in kind of parking spots, probably another 50 on the bar.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to pay if you're on the bar. And
If you're on the bar. Okay. God, I feel sorry that you have to go out and check that. You know, it's not easy to walk out there on those rocks.
Unless you're a resident, you don't have to pay.
Understand. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying there's a lot of parking that goes on the bar itself, you know, when it's
warm.
feasible. Yeah.
Yep,
right.
when it's warm, the boaters, especially the
Okay.
wave runners and stuff go down there.
And then something else I noticed coming into the park, we're talking about new signage. Because there's only really one sign when you come in, and it's kind of really in the bushes. It's sort of up high, but it says pay to park, but it's in the arborvitae there.
Public Works normally cuts back that really well. So
Okay, all right. I mean, I saw it, but still I kind of thought, oh, lone sign there. And then this real wimpy little sign by the kiosk. So if it gets moved there gonna be better signage for this or telling people that you have to go to
Absolutely.
the
So
kiosk?
wherever you park, you'll see a sign that says pay to park.
Ah.
And then there will be a QR code and it'll tell them to go there to get their ticket.
Perfect. That answers that question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Mayor?
When I look back at the presentation we got from Eco Northwest about 5 or 6, 7 years ago now on whether we should do this or not, the information they had at that time was we've had about 292,000 visitors to Meldrum Bar Park each year. And when they talked about the pros and cons of implementing a fee, it was how many people are going to be deferred from going there and decide not to go to the park anymore. Are we going to lose some of our business by doing this? But if you look at the annual revenue fees, which the last several years have been right around $100,000 a year, divide that by 3, that's $33,000 or 33,000 permits or tickets at the kiosk, which is 1,000 a month, which on weekends, you're talking about hundreds, and that does not include, the cars that are there that haven't paid because they are residents. So I don't know how much drop off we experience from boaters or fishermen or fisher persons or others who use the park on a regular basis when we implemented these changes. But it looks like for sporting events and other things, this has not been too bad a deterrence to that. And Jackie, help me understand a little bit. When you say you make short-term parking permits available for sporting events, are they paying for those and you're just giving them to them in advance so they don't have to go through the kiosk? Or are we giving them away for free as part of their fees for being there?
No, they pay for them and we give them to them in advance. And also, I know this year junior baseball applied for a city scholarship because of the amount of people it brought in from outside the area. And as part of their scholarship, they received parking passes. But last year they paid for them.
Okay, so this gets a little bit into the economic development thing. That when we have these big tournaments and these big groups from outside, sometimes for multiple days, these people are coming into our community. They're spending money in other ways, perhaps. They might be staying in the hotel here. They might be going through our downtown. So these kinds of incentives for groups that contribute to our economic development can be a positive thing for the city.
That's correct. The other big one that we're seeing, and it's going to happen again this year, is the Fur Baby Fest. And that is scheduled again in September. That has been a huge draw. And then again, like I said, John Lagarza has a couple of events that he also wants to talk about. So everything that the city is working on with economic development and tourism is leading down to Meldrum Bar Park. And that's why we're looking ahead to try to help alleviate some of the bottleneck issue that we're having at the front kiosk.
Well, this might be a good time to hear a little more from John then about some of the new things or change things that might be going on at the park that could be a source of revenue and a source of tourism potential for the city.
Well, thank you, Mayor. First off, I would like, can we all give Yvonne a hand? I mean, you have to get up. I mean, we bring her here in front of the Parks Board and Parking to have our first discussion, and you did fantastic. I mean, thank you. It was really, we work with a lot of cities, and one of the things I want to just say on, the system demand on parks nowadays is real important to think about, from a revenue standpoint. Like, it's great. We have the police department that goes down there. We have funds to do maintenance. The demand on city parks and state parks and county parks is continuing to be, a challenge as people continue to visit them there. But what I wanted to talk to you tonight about was, to get some input from the council. Can you back up a couple slides here? Let's see here. Go to the one with the stage here. So let's see. Thank you, Tammy. So one of the things that we've been looking at from an economic development standpoint, when Eco Northwest and the city looked at, master planning the park a few years back, there we go. One of the thoughts was, how do we get a stage down into the park? That was in your master plan area, and it was closer to, if y'all remember, closer kind of to the residential housing there. And what we're seeing a lot of cities do to help from an economic development standpoint, instead of putting all the capital investment into a permit fixture stage, right, is to explore looking at a mobile stage concept. And that's what I'm going to propose to you tonight, is to think about this area here could be a great opportunity. Max Walton has continued to get more and more residents. And again, when we have tournaments and folks coming in, the opportunity to think about putting a stage in this area could be a great attraction for the park and to be able to draw residents into this area here. Can you go to the next slide too, Tammy? The other thing too is we're continuing to work on Portland Avenue here, and we're going to be doing enhancements in future areas here for landscaping, music. And that's been designed kind of like a plaza park that's going to be able to be shut down for future events. So the opportunity to bring in a stage here and be able to host events and have bands here is a great attraction for Gladstone to be able to think about, as we would be able to move the stage around in different components that are there too. So I think it'd be good discussion. We'd love to get your input tonight, have you talk about, giving us some direction back about looking at a portable stage in the parks area, and then for the future thinking about for Portland Avenue here too. The next slide too. So one of the earlier things in the master plan was like, how do we really start to think about activating Meldrum Park down there, right? How do we bring in the kayaking, the paddleboarding, and having a place for people to be able to come in? If you come with your family and maybe you're here with the baseball tournament, and two of the kids are not into baseball and they want to go do kayaking or they want to do paddleboarding. So looking at how we can bring in a Connex box here and partner with, we've been approached by a couple of operators that would love to be in our park. So by providing a means to be able to have kayaks in there, also to be able to have paddle boards and to activate that area right now. People come in, they park there, they go up to the Clackamas River and they float down and get out. But we want to be able to capture those folks, keep them here in our community, and have them come into our main core of our town and spend dollars here. So happy to answer any questions and that you may have about this tonight too.
Can you tell us what Connex means?
Oh, so the Connex is like a storage container. So the storage container would be in a container where they would be able to position out there. They've used this up on Milo MacGyver Park up there, where if you've gone out there, you'll see they have paddle boards and kayak rental spots there. So it's a way to be able to store that and also have people working there at that location there too. So.
And I understand there's one sort of infrastructure barrier right now to doing something like this down there, and that has to do with electricity.
It is electricity. So if we do move forward, we would work with PGE to get, a couple electrical connections out here. So electrical connection for the Connex box, the storage area here for the rentals, and then a connection for the stage out there at that site there. But we'd also do that at Portland Avenue as we're planning that to be able to have a future location. So then you could pull the stage down and connect it from that standpoint there too.
So an event like Music on the Greens, which we're currently doing at Max Patterson, could be on the water down there.
Correct.
If we had a portable stage and access to electricity for a PA system.
Yes, and probably increase the revenue for the Parks Department too. So
yeah, our community services manager is excited about the possibility. It's outgrown Max Patterson area, and she is a visionary. She envisions, if you go back, Tammy, to having the stage down there. There's also an opportunity to have food cart trucks parked along there. So we're very excited about it. And as John said, working with PGE to access electricity, it sounds easy, but you actually have to engineer a plan to do that and get a permit. So we're working through that. But yes, Mayor, we would intentionally move Music on the Greens, and Michelle Prusso is 100% behind that. She just wants me to find the money to buy the stage like yesterday. So
Can we ask a question on how much the stage costs? Oh, sorry, Andrew.
Well, that's
You moved.
exactly.
150,000.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, how many different, like, not so much bid, but how many different places are you looking for? I've heard a wide range of prices.
Sure. Go ahead, John.
For the stages, I think you're looking around that mid 150 price for that. You can add on more if you want to, completely have all kinds of different amenities and speakers, but the base price is about 150. And the other thing too is that the city could also look at renting that out to other agencies and other times here, because I've seen that done with other cities as a way to help pay for it too. So from that standpoint too.
And you may not have all the information on it now, but I'd like to see kind of what is included with the stage.
Yeah.
The types of speakers,
Absolutely. It goes into, there's like 3 lists of add-ons that you can add in different sizes from, like 30, 40, 50 stages. It folds up into a truck and they can pull it with like a F-250, 350. So they're building out aluminum. And we've seen the city of Umatilla buy one that has been using it up there in Umatilla and Armiston area. They do cross share with the different cities. Estacada does one out there with the school district out in Estacada. So it's quite common we're seeing. It's a big capital investment to build a complete stage, and then you really are dormant most of the time from that standpoint.
If I may just ask one more, now would that need to be stored indoors?
No, it folds up. They fold up. It folds up looks just like a semi truck, and then it unfolds, and it's pretty.
You wouldn't need to have like any type of awning.
No, it completely folds. It looks like a semi going down the road. It's pretty impressive. I got some pictures I'll send out for everyone.
And remind me, for those of us who weren't on the council when the Meldrum Bar Park master plan was done, is there a plan for some kind of an amphitheater or something in that park already? Was that part of it? So this would be an alternative to a permanent structure. It would give portability, and I'm assuming maybe even less costly than a permanent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about what the cost is, everything's gone up extraordinarily. We're seeing with so a full built stage would cost a lot more. I can't give you a range, but you're probably looking, close to $1 million more just to build a permanent stage out there. That's just going to sit in place.
Yeah.
So.
How many times a year would we expect to use this stage?
I think, if we could program the parks really well. We could also program Portland Avenue. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity to think about that. And we could also work with some of the sister cities on, every city, if you watch when they roll out their music on the greens, you got one does on Thursday, one does on Friday, one does it on Wednesday. But also you think about other communities that, would be probably very interested in renting the stage, the portable stage too. So
Where would you potentially store that?
Public Works.
Where's the nearest?
They're not here, so I can say that. Right?
The nearest restroom? Would we need to be contemplating putting in additional facility?
There's a restroom not far up from there within the park there, right up by the gardens.
I know one at High Rocks, we can move down there, so.
Well, we have a permanent restroom near the playground area at the far end when you drive in past the kiosk and go before you turn either right or left to the boat or the garden.
And then there's porta potties down on Doll Beach Road there.
Okay.
So.
Councilor Garlington, did you have a?
So one of the things I just want to remind people, when you do a parks master plan of some sort, no matter which park it's in, there's a lot to be said for this is a possibility. This is something you can do at the park, but that doesn't mean that those roadmaps are the end all be all. That's suggestions on things that the city can do, and here's how we could map it out. That doesn't mean that's where it has to be. I love the idea that this is removable. I think that's genius. Because as always, we all have to be mindful of the 100-year floodplain down at Meldrum Bar. We've seen it happen. Those of us that have been around a while, and it was not pretty, and it took a long time for it to get back. So to protect that kind of thing, I like that ingenuity, that forward thinking is really good. The thing that I have the question about is at Connex. The baseball field puts a Connex down there for their equipment during the baseball years, or during the baseball season, but it goes away. And with these Connexes that we're talking about people putting down there to use for the summertime, would they as well be removed by the wintertime? Because I would want to see that happen. I don't believe I would want to take the chance of a Connex being down there and not being able to get it moved during a bad winter month. And having it be Gladstone's responsibility for something like that.
Nancy?
Yeah.
It's my thought that the baseball one stays year round. But soccer has a small one that comes down just for soccer season, goes away and comes back for the next soccer season.
How far up is the baseball one?
The one is right there by at the end of the gardens, behind that bleacher. And that's correct, Jackie? That the baseball one stays year round?
I believe the baseball one is moved yearly as well.
Is it?
Yeah,
Correct,
Is it?
yes.
our
Okay.
code requires, I think, but it was 25. We looked it up. It would be removed, Counselor Rowland.
Yeah, there is provisions in our Gladstone Municipal Code on size and all of that, and it's a temporary. So I also wanted to share a little bit of background on Energy Kayak. As you know, the Abernathy Bridge project has been extended another 5 years. They're reaching now where ODOT is into the billions for that contract. That has affected Energy Kayak on the other side at Clackamet, and they're really trying to find a home. So we are courting them. We want them to come so that they won't leave. And they also just applied for a grant through Clackamas County for tourism that we submitted a letter of support. So that's really the nexus behind trying to get them down there and why we're confident with allowing them to have access to electricity as well.
So we're talking about moving electricity down there. So we've got a stage that's going to need electricity in this Connex. And if we brought in food trucks, nobody wants to listen to a generator run for 5 hours. I know they're quieter now, but what is the cost of electricity, this electrical project down there?
Well, that's what we're researching right now. First of all, no, we wouldn't provide like campsites. We wouldn't provide for food trucks. It really is, I think, is there 3 points of access?
You're right. And the good thing, Councilor Garland, is we've talked, it looks like we could just go because it's overhead power right there. So we're pretty much, instead of having to tear up the park and trench through the park, which is more expensive, we'd be talking with PGE on just using a pole and then having a drop with a connector with a panel right there for the operators coming in seasonally from that standpoint there. So.
And the other thing I want to add, Councilor Mitchell brought this up to me, which I think is a fantastic idea, is our ability to perhaps have laser shows during 4th of July in the future if you've got music going on down there. So the possibilities are endless with what we're able to do once we focus and make that initial investment and making that a focal point in Meldrum Bar Park.
This is Ian. I want to jump back to the parking question because that's, I believe, the focus of this. Please forgive my ignorance. Is there any other places in Gladstone where you have to pay for parking?
No, and we don't intend to recommend that either.
And did we have a cost estimate for Ventec developing this app for us, or is it already bundled in the services we get from them?
It is in one of those
That would have
slides.
been the $9,000
Yep.
portion.
I, as someone who's run several outdoor programs and gone to a bunch of different parks and paid in a bunch of different ways, nothing is more frustrating than getting somewhere and having a single-use proprietary app for getting in to pay for parking, especially in places with low service. So I like the idea of the flexibility of an app as long as there is access to an online portal as well for someone who doesn't want to install additional software onto their phone. I think also if the city were ever to think of adding on parking areas, maybe for festivals or high traffic times, maybe investing in this infrastructure now then makes sense going forward. Because it's also very frustrating when you go to different parts of the city or different Like Metro has its own fee service, inside Portland fee service, or you go down the street to a different park, it's a different app because you've gone 5 blocks and you're in a different city. It's nice to have everything be consistent if possible. And I think also having paid fee services at a bunch of different parks, $3 is very cheap for especially how big Meldrum Bar is and how much it offers. It's pretty unique in that there's a boat ramp, not a very good one in Milwaukee. Hard to use, but limited parking. There's us, and then down to Clackamas, which especially because of the big bridge project, and I think ours offers better parking and a better access point to the river. And because the other side is Lake Oswego, there's nothing over there. So it is a pretty unique access point, and it makes sense to at least try and cover our costs for that.
Thank you, Ian. This sort of illustrates the value in having a joint meeting like this, because people, Bruce and my generation, we don't know those apps. We don't understand them and use them regularly. And those of you who get around and get to parks and have that experience understand the pros and cons and what we should look for. So it's great to get that input from a lot of individuals who look at things from a lot of different perspectives. And I wonder if there, and to return to what Councilor Garlington said, all the work that went into designing a master plan, again, this is concepts, this is ideas of things we hope the park could be and all the different things that it could offer to the community. And it's not set in stone in terms of where things go or how they're structured, but if we can find a more economically viable way of doing things, then it becomes something that isn't just a plan on paper that never gets finished, which is the way with some master plans, but it's something that, we could make some progress on. So I think this has been a very good conversation. I want to know from staff what you were hoping to gain from us tonight in terms of any direction for going forward on this, and let us know maybe what you think you heard, so that we want to make sure we're kind of in the same place, because I'm hearing some general support for a lot of the ideas that came up tonight, but I want to know that we don't send staff, down a rabbit hole the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Mayor. So do head nods. We're not voting tonight, but head nods. We want to keep the parking fee at Meldrum Bar Park. Okay. Do we want to move or evolve towards an app by the end of this year? Okay, let me see head nods. Yes, no.
Yes.
Yeah, I think my little experience with using QR codes is so that, like Councilor Mitchell said, if you hold up that QR code and it takes you to a website and you can pay from there from your phone, then you can bypass an app. If it has that application, you would support it.
Some places QR code takes you to download something.
Ah,
You can
got it.
only do an app.
Okay, so we need to make sure that okay, that's a good consideration to take.
And just for clarification, unless I'm missing something, our parking kiosk, there's like no cash. We
No
can't pay with
cash,
cash. So
no.
there's
Yeah,
okay.
no, the auditors would, yeah, no cash. Okay. So understanding that if we're evolving that way, we will be coming to council, who the worst thing to put in front of council is a fee increase, and that the Parks Board would be there to support the council in making that decision.
I am.
You can do this.
Yeah. Okay.
No voting, we're
Sure.
just head
Mhm.
nods, yes or no, and if the consensus of you is that, then we'll move forward, understanding this would be towards the end of the year. In regards to the projects, I really think on the electricity, we were just updating you on Energy Kayak, but it would be helpful to know, because I will find $150,000 through either tourism and community promotion funds, not park general funds, if you feel like we should move forward with the stage, which I think will take about 6 months to get in. And we have to do a request for proposals because of that amount.
Are there creative options Because that's a big chunk of change.
Request for proposals will allow us to solicit options,
Mhm.
and then we will see what kind of bids we get for that.
You talked about possibly renting this out to other entities, so school districts, neighborhood associations, et cetera. Is there anyone in the area who already has a stage that we could rent out, or at the very least in kind of a trial basis to see how it works before you
I
decide to
think the
purchase?
closest one was Estacada and Umatilla. I'm not going there. But I do think we looked into rental. It's probably not cost effective in regards to the portability and the compact that we have. It would be stored at Public Works. I do see it being used a lot on downtown Portland Avenue. And certainly we could partner with neighboring agencies if they were looking for that as well. So I see there's a general consensus that that's a good idea. Let's move forward on that. So I feel like, Yvonne, was there anything else you needed tonight? I think we should also recommend that you get your advanced certificate for doing a great presentation. And I think, Mayor, that's all I had for tonight.
All right, well, we're at about 6:32 and I think we will adjourn. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, staff, for giving us good input and helping us consider some decisions going forward. So we appreciate you all being here. Good night.